You're welcome to the Oba Akezua Cultural Center in Benin City, the capital of Edo State, where the National Peace Committee is conducting a peace-packed meeting with political parties, traditional leaders, INEC and security agencies. Welcome to this live channels television broadcast coming to you from Benin City. I'm Shonwa Kimbaloye. Welcome to this very event that will come down in the history of the people of Edo State as such an event that will bring peace to the governorship election of Saturday the 19th of September 2020. For some of the events or some of the actions that we are supposed to see today is the signing of a peace pact between the political parties and their candidates. We've been hearing drums of war and threats of violence before now, but there's been a lot of talk around how peace can happen in this election. So let's get started by talking to those who are behind the scene in making sure that this exercise come to pass. I'm being joined at the moment a member of the board of Yaga Africa, one of the organizers of this event, Mr. Ezenwa Nwagu. Thank you so much, Mr. Nwagu, for please come step forward a bit. Thank you so much for talking to us on Channels TV. Could you give us an understanding of what led to the thinking of this kind of event? We see it in a presidential election, but for a governorship election, why so?
Well, you do appreciate the fact, Shehu, that the narrative for the Edo election has been characterized by a lot of violence, a lot of talk about violence and all the rest of it. But the bigger challenge is what are we going to do about it? So the peace committee led by General Abubakar and Matthew Kuka and the rest of them have the moral weight, the moral authority. So Yaga Africa, working with the peace committee, decided to source that moral weight, to bring it to bear on political actors in Edo State, to ensure that first and foremost they understand that this election is about the Edo people and the livelihood of Edo people, and that you can only enjoy this livelihood if you are alive. So the peace committee will bring the political actors in this ceremony this morning to sign the peace accord, and we believe that it will bring that moral weight that the politicians need to at least rethink some of their activities.
Of course, it looks so much like the stage is set, and we're seeing the arrival of some of the guests for this event. But have you gotten the commitment of the political gladiators that they are coming, and are they committed to signing the peace pact?
Actually, the timing for this program was supposed to be 2 o'clock, as you know. It was the actors themselves that demanded that it be brought down to 12 noon. And so that commitment is already clear. And as you see in the next few minutes, this event will take off, and the political actors, at least the dominant political parties, will be here to sign that accord.
Okay, so give us a sense of why this is important, though, because we see peace pact, peace. I mean, there's historical ones between the APC and the PDP in the 2015 and in fact the 2019 election. We saw that happen. But why for a governorship election?
Well, you can see the precursor to this was His Royal Majesty Oba of Benin weighed in, and if you notice from the moment that he weighed in, the political temperature in Edo State dropped. So when you bring the moral authority of the peace committee again, I think it will have, at least it will shift the needle a bit.
Will the Oba of Benin, perhaps the monarch in charge of the traditional rulership in this state, will he be coming to?
We have a commitment that he will be here personally today.
So give us a sense of what this peace pact is all about. Paint for us, to our viewers who are watching right now, how this will go about, what this peace pact means. Are you going to use it as a sort of moral conscience reminder for them, or what?
Yes, I've talked about, it's about persuasion. Now, most of the people who constitute the peace committee are people who may not be in political office, but command a lot of respect. You cannot wish away the voice of Matthew Kuka, for instance. You cannot take away the big voice of Abubakar, General Abubakar, and all the other prominent Nigerians who are in this peace committee. So when they speak, they are speaking to certain constituencies. And when the message gets to those constituencies, it's going to be clear that we are going to have, even if it's not major, we are going to have a shift from what we used to have before. And ordinarily, already the peace process has already started. Like I said, this is the ceremony. The ceremony means that there has been a lot of work in the background, and that conversation is dovetailing into publicly coming to say, oh, we accept that we're going to be conducting ourselves within the confines of the law and respect electoral laws and ensure that the people of Edo State are happy eventually.
Isn't one go there for you, member of the board of Yaga Africa? Thank you so much for your thought, and we're looking forward to some of those highlights that you have mentioned today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shehu. Thank you.
Go for your time. Well, we'll be speaking with a few other people who are part of the organization of this Peace Pact. It's also interesting to know that just yesterday, INEC had a stakeholders meeting with stakeholders from political parties to security officials and all of that. But most of those also will be here today. Let's also speak with yet another official of Yaga Africa, Cynthia Mbamalu, who is perhaps one of the brains behind this whole setup. She's a program officer there at Yaga Africa. Please, Director of Programs at Yaga Africa. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for talking to us this afternoon. Give us an understanding of the figures behind the issues of violence in this election. What perhaps prompted Yaga to think about this process?
Yeah, the elections has quite been very interesting. Follow the campaigns, the political dynamics especially. Now, our pre-election survey had indicated that that there was an increase in violence. So, for instance, over two-thirds of the LGAs recorded an incident of violence in both the first and second pre-election observation phase. And what was that telling us? That out of the 18 LGAs, 13 of the LGAs had experienced an incident of violence. Now, for us, that was worrisome because that is even more than two-thirds of the LGAs in the state. So one of the things we wanted to achieve was how do we get the parties to come together? Because with the campaigns, there was increase in violence, vandalism and destruction of properties. And we also had increase in hate speech and inciting verbal attacks against parties and their supporters. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to have this peace accord. But beyond that, they also look at special LGAs that we identified as battleground LGAs. So LGAs that had either...
Sorry, please, if you can come up.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So for instance, LGAs that had larger number of voters registered and also voters with PVCs also had more incidents of violence. So if you're looking at Oredo, Akoko Edo, Ipoboka, you're also looking at Ego, Ovia Northeast, you had more incidents of you had more incidents of violence occurring in those locations. So one of the things we wanted to do was these parties, this is also where they are, because most of them were in the Edo South Senatorial District, which is where these parties, the candidates for APC and PDP, also come from that region. So with this peace accord, we're hoping to achieve two main things. One, that they commit to the terms and the obligations in the peace accord, but two, that citizens can hold them accountable with the signing of the peace accord. Because beyond the elections, we want to start seeing parties being held responsible for actions or incidents of violence in the state. And then at the other angle is also, how do we start demanding for disqualification of candidates based on those who support violence? Because it's not about arresting the thugs deployed, but also getting the sponsors of these thugs deployed across the local government areas. All
right, so basically, one of the things that a lot of people are looking forward to is that you've mentioned some of these local government areas and the fact that what is the police doing? Is the police also involved in this peace pact? Because that's also important. If the politicians are conducting themselves, what is the effort of the police in this peace pact?
Yeah, this is a very important question because our pre-election survey showed that only 39% of our respondents expressed confidence in the police. 39%. Now, what does that show us? That increasingly, citizens are also losing trust in the institution of the police as a security agency coordinating election security. So one of the things we are hoping to achieve, that this is a peace pact for different stakeholders. Beyond the candidates, we would also have the Electoral Commission present, the security ably represented present also, because we also need the police. They are not the ones signing, but we also need their commitment. So yesterday at the INEC stakeholders meeting, the police had reeled out all they want to do. But the question was, you reel these wonderful plan at every elections. But look at what happened in Kogi. Look at Bayelsa. So what is the different thing police is bringing for to these elections? Because it's beyond just the number of 31,000 deployed. How are you deploying? And we're hoping that with the pre-election reports that most groups have highlighted, the security threat assessment by other groups, the police would also be informed by this data in their deployments of security on elections day and ensure proper coordination. But we do not want to keep hearing these issues of fake police. It's an indictment on the capacity of the police as an institution to come out every time and tell us that those were fake police. It means you are not, you don't have the capacity to control security if people can impersonate the police and go scot-free. So this time around, we want to see the police truly act, because a lot of groups are also observing the roles of the police. And for Yaga Africa's deployment this election, part of our special questions that we'll be tracking is also the conduct of police officials deployed, especially to the polling units and those we see roving on elections day. What is going to be their conduct, and how can we assess them to give them an assessment post the elections?
Cynthia Mbamalu there, giving us the figures and the background to what we should be expecting today and the reasons behind this Peace Pact. She is the Director of Programs at Yaga Africa, organizers of this very event today. Thank you so much, Cynthia Mbamalu, for talking to us. Yet we'll be speaking to some of the people who have great interest in the organization of this Peace Pact. Of course, you can see behind me, we understand that General Abusalami Abubakar is already here, and also Bishop Matthew Kuka. Most of the figures that are important for this event are arriving any moment from now. The event should get underway. But let's speak to yet another person who is involved in all of this. Is Bukola Idowu, Executive Director of Kimpact Initiative. Please, Mr. Idowu, step forward a minute. Thank you so much for coming tonight. This afternoon. For the people of Edo, peace is very important, isn't it? But for this Peace Pact, what do you think? People are aware that this kind of event is happening. The average Edo voter, are they aware?
Well, going by the media publicity for this event, I think everybody is aware this event has been on and on and on. Everybody is aware, and I think they are also looking forward to it, because looking at the happenings around for the past 1 month, 2 months ago, and for instance, our organization have even tracked close to 34 cases of potential for violence, and at the same time 18 violence. So when you look at that, people are looking forward for this and to call all the actors in this election to come on the table and sign this peace accord. So for me, I think an average voter is aware of this, because we move out and then we've seen people are looking forward to this event, of course, and I believe that the outcome of this event today is going to be what is going to be acceptable, and then the actors have the moral burden to follow through.
Yeah. If you look at the advocacy level in all of these arrangements that is being made towards the organization of this event, one will see that it does look like most civil society organizations are speaking from the same hymn book. What is the impetus, or what do you think had given the CSOs these prompts about these issues of peace, and why is Edo State so much in the news about these issues?
Well, I think we share reports, and then we are on ground, and we've been doing a lot of advocacy. We've been doing a lot of peace initiative, and we've been doing a lot of voter education and civil education. And when you look at what has been going on, and when you compare notes, what organization A is talking about is the same thing Organization B is talking about in his or her report. And what it means is that everybody now needs to come on board. For instance, Yaiga had a local government flash point in their hotspot mapping of like about 13 hotspot place. And when we did, we also have even more than that, at like about 15, hotspots. So it calls on everybody to come on board, because the truth of the matter, there is no environment, there is no state, there is no country that can move forward in the absence of peace. And that is why we are calling, and democracy is all about participation. So when there is violence, when there is voter intimidation, then we are likely going to have voter apathy. And what it means is that we are not likely going to have true representation of what democracy should be, and what the people, because the people need to come out and exercise their franchise. And when there is violence, then we are not likely going to have them. For instance, the data of 2019 election, the turnout is looking at, compared to the population, we are looking at around 21% of voter turnout in 2019 presidential election. So we are looking at a situation where the number will increase this time, and then we have more than that in terms of voter participation. And that is why this initiative is so necessary, and everybody is pulling their weight behind it.
Bukola Idowu, the Executive Director of Kimpact Initiative, thank you so much for your thoughts there, and we are hoping and expecting the best out of this event. I'll be speaking here to another brain behind this event. As the Country Director of International Federation of Electoral Systems, IFES, Herman Thiel. Thank you so much, Herman, for coming to speak to us. Please, could you step forward for us? So, why is IFES, for example, backing this kind of initiative? Why is it so important for your organization?
Well, peace in electoral processes is essential for electoral credibility. There is no way that an election can be called credible if there are too many violent incidents that disrupt the process and disrupts the will of the voters being expressed as they wish it to be. So for that reason, it's important for us to support civil society, the Electoral Commission, to do various activities that is aimed at getting to a greater and more peaceful electoral process in this country.
So you probably have an understanding of history of the issue of violence and what this could portend for our election. What are the data, what are the information that you have that scares you as an organization like IFS to wanting to say, look, we do not want a further or reoccurrence of this kind of event? Anything that comes to mind that is a concern or worry for you?
I think the data that is gathered by the organizations that we support, the person who spoke just before me, Bukola Idowu from Kimpact Development Initiative, they are gathering important data related to events that are happening now as we speak in the state, and that information needs to be taken very seriously by all the policymakers. That's gathered by them, that's gathered by INAC, etc. So it is that data that is now for this electoral process being gathered that is important to be considered.
So, what are the outcomes that you're expecting? Because I know when you put your weight behind an initiative like this, you're definitely expecting something to happen. So what are the expected outcomes of this event?
Well, this event is a highly important symbolic event for the different stakeholders to get together and commit themselves to peace. So we hope that that commitment will be made at this event, and that that commitment will be honored as we go through to the elections on Saturday.
Herman Thiel, the Country Director, International Federation of Electoral System, IFES. Herman, thank you so much for coming to speak to us as we expect these very historic events to happen today. So you've heard from different people who are behind all of this. So let me give you a sense, if my cameraman can just give us a sense of what we can see. We can see Bishop Kuka right there. We can see the former head of state, General Salami Abubakar, is also there. Let's hear from INEC what this means for them. Is not only conducting this election, but can they conduct election in a war situation? We have the director, the national commissioner, I beg your pardon, the national commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity at INEC, Mr. Festus Okoye. He joins us now. Thank you so much, Mr. Okoye. Please step forward a bit. Please come forward. Mr. Festus Okoye, thank you so much for talking to us. Why is this important for you?
Well, it is important because the commission wants to conduct an election that will be acceptable to every individual, including the political parties, including the voters, and also including the Nigerian people. So this particular ceremony is so important, and that is why you can see the array and galaxy of people who assemble here for the purposes of this signing ceremony.
Is the INEC chairman going to be present today?
The INEC chairman is already seated. The former head of state is already seated. The bishop of the Sokoto diocese is already seated. And you can see the political parties are coming in, and we are happy that this thing will turn out well.
INEC sometimes look like a child straying in a war situation when you conduct election in a violent environment. So for you, what gives you worry? If you look at the past election, if you look at what happened in Kogi and Bayelsa, where we saw shootings around and violence that the scale of violence that we saw. What gives you worry and what gives you joy in this sense that this is happening and your expectations out of this event?
Well, we really expect that at the end of the day, the sovereign right of the people and the value of the vote will be what we count in this particular election. We also hope that the political parties, the candidates in this particular election, all of them will commit to ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections. Because election is a multi-stakeholder venture. Unless all the parties commit to the success of the process, definitely there will be a problem. But we hope and we believe that since we are conducting this election under the shadow of a pandemic, that all the political parties, all the candidates, and their supporters will recognize the fundamental nature of this particular election, and also the fact that the people must vote and vote in safety, and their health must also be protected. I think that that is what is fundamental. If we succeed in conducting this election, it will serve as a model to other African countries and also to other countries of the world, because as you know, over 70 countries have even postponed their elections or rescheduled their elections on account of this particular pandemic. So if we conduct a good election, if we conduct a successful election, if we conduct an election where the health of the people has been protected, it will serve as a model for other countries.
Let's look at why is Edo State particularly in the news for the issue of this violence, and it scares a lot of people, isn't it? Does it scare INEC, and why is Edo State in the news about this?
Well, as a commission, we are focused on this particular election. We follow the processes and the procedures. We have made sure that we've deployed all the non-sensitive materials, and the sensitive materials are already here. So to that particular extent, our business is to organize, undertake, and superintend this particular election. So we are not really interested in some of the happenings. But we have gone into some level of synergy with the security agencies, and they have assured us that they are going to act professionally and they are going to act ethically in relation to this particular election. And we are sure that they will provide sufficient security for electoral personnel, electoral materials, and the voters to give them confidence that they can come out and vote without anything happening to them.
Before I allow you to go, Mr. Okoye, of course we can see behind me some of the political gladiators that you can see also are arriving, and it does look like this event will start in earnest in a few minutes. Traditional rulers are also arriving. But before we get started, what important information do we need to know, especially the millions of Edo people who are watching right now, who are going to go out on Saturday to vote, in regards to violence and the issue of security? What confidence are you giving, and what are you hearing from the security agencies as regarding what can give them confidence in this vote?
Well, we have interacted with the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, and they are clearly ready for this particular election. The Inspector General of Police and the Commissioner of Police are going to announce restriction on movement on election day. So we are confident that all threats to violence will be degraded before this particular election, and that the people should come out and exercise their democratic franchise and own this particular process. It is when people own this process that we can have good election. And we are confident that since this is an end of new election, that the people of Edo State will come out and own this process, and our democracy will continue to grow.
On a final note, Mr. Okoye, is on the issue of voter apathy. That's a big fear that the figures we had in 2019, in 2016, juxtaposed it with the number of PVCs that have been collected. What are your fears? What are you doing to make sure that there isn't anything like voter apathy?
The people of Edo State are properly mobilized, and we are confident that with the quantum of work we have done in relation to sensitization and also in relation to mobilization, and the type of campaigns and rallies that the political parties have conducted, and what the media has done, we believe that the people will come out en masse to exercise their democratic franchise.
Thank you so much, Mr. Festus Okoye, for talking to us, the National Commissioner in charge of voter education at INEC. Thank you so much indeed for your time today. Yeah. We've been speaking with a series of people on the issue of this violence, the Peace Pact, and what it means also for this election. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, the event will start in earnest, and we'll be able to give you an understanding of what the political gladiator and the stakeholders are doing. Stay with us right here on this live telecast.
2020 Edo State Governorship Peace Accord on the prevention of violence and acceptance of election results by governorship candidates and chairpersons of political parties contesting the 2020 governorship elections in Edo State under the auspices of the National Peace Committee (NPC). We, the undersigned governorship candidates of the underlisted political parties contesting in the governorship elections of Edo State in September 2020, reaffirming our commitment to taking proactive measures towards ensuring a conducive environment for the conduct of a credible electoral process. Anxious about the maintenance of a peaceful environment before, during and after the 2020 governorship elections in Edo State. Reaffirming our commitment to fully abide by the constitutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to respect the rules and regulations as laid down in the legal framework for elections in Nigeria and adhere to best international standards. Desirous of sustaining and promoting the unity and corporate existence of Nigeria as an indivisible entity, determined to avoid any conduct or behavior that will endanger the political stability and national security of Nigeria. Mindful of our responsibility towards the Nigerian citizens and their democratic rights, we are determined to place national interest above personal and partisan concerns. Hereby committing ourselves and our parties to the following. 1. To support all institutions of government involved in conducting or securing the elections, in particular the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the security forces, to act with professionalism, impartiality and transparency. 2. To isolate state agencies, institutions and public officers from supporting partisan interests in any form, as well as the full application of national and international laws against subversions of the electoral process, incitement to violence or any other offenses that may compromise the integrity of the ballot and the security of Nigerians and non-Nigerians before, during and after the elections. 3. To ensure uninterrupted and uncompromised freedom of expression and information both online and offline throughout the electoral process. 4. To admonish our party members and our theming followers to refrain from insults, intimidations, incitement and violence, and to conduct themselves in accordance with the rule of law after the announcement of the results. 5. To publicly condemn acts of violence and their instigators and perpetrators. 6. To respect that the results can only be announced by INEC and to accept the outcome of the votes as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair and credible, devoid of intimidation and conducted in accordance with the provisions of the law. 7. To support peaceful, transparent and credible electoral processes and abide by the outcome of the election results. 8. To fully collaborate with the National Peace Committee, made up of respected statesmen and women, traditional and religious leaders, in its mission to monitor the adherence to this accord. 9. In the event of any disputes that may arise, to follow due process by resorting to the courts of law and to act in a spirit of statesmanship, putting the country first before individual or party interests. 10. Abide by the letter and spirit of this accord, and if my actions and utterances and that of my party violate the principle of this accord, I accept to be held accountable according to the laws and constitutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The Edo governorship election is almost here. On election day, Yaga Africa's WTV will be deploying the parallel vote tabulation. The PVT is a special election observation tool that uses statistics and technology to enable non-partisan citizen observers to provide accurate report on the voting process and on whether results announced reflects the votes cast in the polling units. Yaga Africa will deploy 500 watching the vote observers and 24 roving observers in the local government areas who will send in reports using their phones to a centralized database. The report will be analyzed and shared with voters and stakeholders in near real time. So good citizens of Edo State, protect your PVC and get ready. For inquiries, send a message to Yaga Africa via 0903 800 7744. Follow us on social media at Yaga, watching the vote, making votes count.
Over the years, our elections have been characterized by different forms of violence. In the 2011 general elections, over 800 deaths were recorded. In 2015, 150 deaths, and in 2019, 626 deaths, all due to electoral violence. Everyone is affected. Our mothers cry, fathers mourn, and children also weep. The trend of electoral violence can lead to voter apathy, political instability, and displacement. These are all injurious to our society. We can do better by shunning violence in the coming Edo 2020 governorship election. To report any form of violence in elections, call the toll-free line 08000010000. Say never to electoral violence. This message is brought to you by Kimpact Development Initiative with the support of USAID, IFES, and UK Aid.
Thank you so much, and welcome back to the Obakenzua Cultural Center here in Benin City, the Edo State capital, where the National Peace Committee, in conjunction with Yaga Africa, is putting together a peace pact for ahead of the Edo governorship election. I'm being joined now by Manji Wilson, a member of the European Union, who will be speaking to us about why the European Union is backing this event. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson, for talking to us today. Why is this important for the European Union?
Thank you, Sean, for having me. And of course, for the European Union, being a friend of Nigeria since 1999, supporting its electoral process with over 100 million euros, the political process, in the country is further enhanced when critical actors of this particular system come together in a pact that will forge alliances and convey a very important message to the electorates that every electoral process, in order for it to be successful, it has to also have a peaceful element. Because every electorate deserves to exercise his franchise in a rancor-free environment, in a process that he wouldn't feel intimidated, or obstructed, in that regard. So for the European Union, this is a very important aspect of each elections, and it is quite happy, of course, supporting the National Peace Committee, the European Center for Electoral Support, YAGA, and other partners to facilitate this process.
Thank you, Manju Wilson. I'm hearing now that the event will get underway in earnest. Thank you so much, Mr. Manju Wilson, speaking on behalf of the European Union. I understand now that this Peace Pact event will start in earnest, and this event is put together by the National Peace Committee in conjunction with Yaga Africa. And you're welcome, everyone, to the Obakenzua Cultural Center in Benin City, where this very historic moment will be happening today, where we'll see the political parties signing a peace accord. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And I'll hand you over to the anchor of the event, Samson Itodo.
Okay. Good afternoon. I want to appeal to them to maintain peace. I maintain that the Benin throne isn't partisan. The warring parties come to me individually. So how can I support one against the other? In Benin right now, I am not happy that my children are fighting themselves. We shall continue to pray for INEC, and may God Almighty and our ancestors hear that prayer. This is a quote from His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, Omo Oba Naedo Uku Akpolokpolo, the Oba Eware II, and his charge to the political actors in Benin. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, may I humbly invite you to rise as we sing the national anthem.
You may please have your seat. Thank you. Once again, good afternoon. My name is Samson Itodo, and I work for Yaga Africa, and I will be moderating this afternoon's session. Without wasting much time, permit me to introduce our special guest, and everyone here is special. But let me first begin by introducing the members of the National Peace Committee, and I'd like to say that this event is hosted by the National Peace Committee that is headed by no other person but one of our greatest leaders. In a short while I will introduce him, but let me begin by introducing other members of the National Peace Committee. First, if I mention their name, please just recognize them with a round of applause. Thank you. Mr. Sam Amuka, who is a member of the National Peace Committee. I don't know if he's here, but in absentia, please can we give him a round of applause? Also, in the membership of the Peace Committee, we have Alhaji Aliko Dangote, who is a member of the Peace Committee. Please just give him a round of applause. We also have Professor Mrs. Ameze Gobadia, a member of the Peace Committee. She's here. Please give her a resounding round of applause, please. We also have His Eminence John Cardinal Onayekon. He's a member of the Peace Committee, but he's not here. But please, let's give him a round of applause in absentia. We also have my Lord Bishop, Bishop Matthew Hassan Koka, who is a convener of the National Peace Committee. Is here, please. I would save the last introduction, but let me move over to another partner who is here. Please help me welcome the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We also have national commissioners of INEC here. First, let me start with the Supervisory National Commissioner for this state and two other states, Mrs. May Agbamuche Umbu. We also have Professor Antonia Sembini, the National Commissioner of INEC. She's here as well. We also have another National Commissioner, Dr. Arfo Shatima. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's here as a National Commissioner. We have the ever-energetic AVM Mwazu, another National Commissioner of INEC. We also have another National Commissioner who is one of our renowned professors of elections, Festus Okoye, is the National Commissioner of INEC here as well. We have members of the chairman's technical team. We have Professor Bolade Enyila here. We see Professor Kuna, as well as the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC chairman, Rotimi Oyekomi, is here as well. And then other directors of INEC who are here present, we say welcome to this event. I'd like to specially introduce another critical stakeholder, and he will be speaking to us in a short while. He is the representative of the IG of Police, no other person but DIG Oyebade Adele MNI. He's the DIG in charge of research and planning, and he will be, come on, clap for him. Thank you. The police is our friend. And so he's the one in charge of the elections in Edo State. We have also this morning representatives of His Royal Majesty and a very special guest who are here with us. First, we have Chief D.U. Edebiri. He's the Esso Bank of Benin. Oba Atopo Aye. Next, we have Chief Edonwe Oliha. He's the Oliha of Benin. Oba Atopo Aye. And lastly, we have the Secretary to the Benin Traditional Council, Frank Irabo. Also joining us is a representative of the Presidential Task Force. You know, these elections are conducted in a very unusual circumstances. So we have Dr. Hassad Hassan. He's representing the Presidential Task Force. Okay, he's here. I missed out our host, a very special host, the resident electoral commissioner of INEC. He is no other person but Dr. Alalibo Johnson Sinikel. We welcome all the candidates and the chairmen of political parties, members of civil society and the media. Welcome to this great event. But I will not end this introduction by, without introducing a very special person to the history of our country. He's a former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You know him. He needs no further introduction, but help me welcome General Abdusalam Abubakar, who is the chairman of the National Peace Committee. Well, thank you very much. And without wasting time, may I invite His Lordship Bishop Matthew Hassan Koka, who is the convener of the National Peace Committee, to deliver a welcome remark on behalf of the National Peace Committee. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much, Samson, and let me thank you so very much for the great work that Yaga has done along with civil society. Our chairman, General Abdusalam Abubakar, chairman of INEC, traditional rulers, contestants. Those are the protocols we want to respect. It's a great honor and great pleasure for me, for us to be here. This, as you know, is one of those very rare occasions when the Peace Committee has had to roll out its drums to accompany gubernatorial candidates. Usually, we do our work at the level of the presidential elections. I think many of us, and especially those of us who have come from outside Edo State or outside Benin City in particular, have not only been welcomed by the rain, but I think we appreciate the fact that it is evidence that the hitherto rather tense environment has actually been doused, and I think we can feel a sense of sublime serenity. And our prayer and our hope is that in the days ahead, these elections will be the most peaceful elections that have ever been conducted in Edo State. There's been a lot of anxiety, but the Peace Committee thought that this event is of such great national and international significance. And that is why we decided to come here. We're here as witnesses, but also largely to support your endeavor. So once again, I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank in anticipation Yaga and members of civil society situation room. We really appreciate the great work that INEC has already done, along with by mobilizing the Inspector General of Police was here, and I think we saw a lot of that on television yesterday. So I think the only thing to say that is left for us to say is that we are all prepared and that we are all set, and please, we just want to restate again. The signing of the peace accord should not be seen as a mere ceremony. For me as a priest, I liken it to an exchange of vows, and that you're committing yourselves. We are only witnesses. As you read from the words of the accord, it's a trust that you are taking upon yourself, and it is a commitment you are making to the people of Nigeria, not just the members of your party, but to the people of Nigeria and to those around the world who will be witnessing this ceremony as it is being transmitted. Thank God, things have changed so dramatically. I'm sure Washington, New York, Paris, London, Johannesburg, everywhere, we are being watched. So we've come here to support you. We hope and pray that the days ahead will be peaceful, and that the elections in Edo State, as I said, will be free, fair, credible, but also very, very peaceful. Thank you very much and welcome to this event.
I think we can do that. We can do more for the bishop. Thank you, my Lord Bishop. During the introduction, I missed out my teacher, and he is in charge of electoral operations for INEC. I don't know why I missed him out of the introduction, because I can't see him, but I can see him now. No other person but Professor Okechukwu Ibiano, the National Commissioner in charge of electoral operations. Please give him a round of applause. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to welcome the Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to deliver some remarks on behalf of INEC.
The Chairman of the National Peace Committee, the former Head of State, General Abdul Salami Alhaji Abubakar, members of the National Peace Committee, the chairmen of political parties and the candidates, the representative of the Inspector General of Police, the representatives of His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, Oba Atopeye, National Commissioners INEC, the Resident Electoral Commissioner for Edo State, members of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, election observers and other stakeholders, development partners, the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, I would like to express our profound appreciation to the National Peace Committee under the leadership of our respected former Head of State, His Excellency General Abdul Salami Alhaji Abubakar, for convening this meeting. It is once again gratifying to note that respected statesmen, including traditional rulers, as well as religious and business leaders, are working in a voluntary and non-partisan way, not only for peaceful elections for the consolidation of our democracy, but also for peace in Nigeria in general. The National Peace Committee has demonstrated that so much can be achieved in nation building by the force of moral rather than statutory authority. INEC, working with civil society organizations and all other stakeholders, will continue to support the work of the Peace Committee. Today, political parties and candidates contesting in the Edo governorship election holding on Saturday are signing an accord to affirm, respect, support, promote, and commit to the principles of free, fair, credible, safe, and peaceful elections, about which we'll hear more from the Peace Committee shortly. We welcome this initiative. Our preparations for deployment of personnel and materials, new innovations in result management, the safety of personnel, security of materials, and above all, the credibility of the elections are all negatively impacted by violence and malpractices. Even worse, the health of all those involved is jeopardized by any disruption that will make the observance of health protocols in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic impossible. It is therefore important for everyone to maintain the peace. Your Excellency, the Chairman and members of the Peace Committee, I wish to assure you of INEC's commitment to credible elections. The votes will count. The people of Edo State will determine who becomes their next governor. Their choice will be upheld. Let me also reassure you and the voters in Edo State of the Commission's neutrality. I call on all political parties and candidates to abide by the letter and spirit of the peace accord. Let it be your covenant with the people of Edo State to maintain the peace before, during, and after the elections. I thank you, and may God bless the efforts of the National Peace Committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman of INEC. Yesterday, a stakeholders meeting hosted by INEC held here. And when the representative of the NYSC DG came here to deliver his goodwill message, he said something very striking. The one moment they don't look forward to is returning the corpses of core members who are killed in the course of elections. And I sat up there and I actually broke down. And I said, my parents cannot stand getting any news that any of their child has been killed in the course of national assignment. And we all here who have children, just think about it. Those NYSC members who are out there, they are your children. And please, we want to urge you to continue to comply, with the laid down rules and play the game by its rules and not incite violence or intimidate INEC officials and polling officials and observers who are in the course of national assignment. And having said that, may I invite the representative of the Inspector General of Police, no other person but DIG Adele Oyebade MNI, the DIG in charge of research and planning for the police force. There's something about this DIG. You see him look very young. Last week Saturday we had a meeting and he told us that in 1986 or so, he entered the police with a master's degree and we were all shocked. I was born in 1986 and I had to tell him, but he looks very, very, very young. And I had to stop him and ask him, did you enter the police with a master's degree? And he said yes. And you look this young, and so we'd expect that vibrancy as you try to protect our elections this weekend. Over to you, DIG.
Thank you so much. Let us thank God for a wonderful day like this. Can we celebrate God? Without Him, we are nothing. Let me start by appreciating the chairman, National Peace Committee, our own General Abdusalam Abubakar MNI, the former head of state, the chairman INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, all the members that have been working behind the scene to ensure the success of this program, and also all the contestants. I'm standing in for the Inspector General of Police. He was here throughout yesterday. And his message is very clear. Unambiguous. We are here to ensure a hitch-free, free, fair, credible, and safe election. Nothing will stop us from delivering on that mandate. We have done a lot behind. We have lectured our men. We have trained the men to be professionally sound on this election. And I have assured all the members that put up this program, I've told the former head of state, police will remain professional to the core in the conduct of this election. We are going to respect the fundamental human rights of the citizenry. But while doing that, we are going to be fair, but we are going to be firm. We are sounding this notice ahead so that all and sundry will be brought to the notice that before, during, and after this election, the police is going to work in synergy with other sister organizations to ensure that we have the best of elections. Can I have an amen to that? You don't believe that? We are going to deliver. We have done it before and we are going to do it. On this occasion, I just want the contestants to go with 2 key words. When you are signing an accord, you must understand what you are doing. The spirit behind it, there are 2 words: accountability and responsibility. You must know that you will be held responsible and you must be accountable. So it means that you have to go back and speak to all of them that are behind you to understand the spirit and the letters of the accord you are signing today. It has to be taken that election should not be war. It's a contest, and we must see it in that direction. So on that note, I want to thank you. I want to appreciate all of us. It is a matter of division of labor. You have your own role to play. The police and other sister organizations will ensure a hitch-free, free, fair, credible, and safe election. And it shall be inclusive because all the other people that are going to contest must come around. So let me encourage the members of the electorate to come out. We are ready to protect the electorate. We have mapped out our strategy from all angles. We will assure you that this will be the best of elections in Nigeria. Thank you and God bless us.
Thank you very much, DIG. Let me invite the representatives of the political parties, and that's the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council here. Yesterday he was here as the chairman of Labour Party. Is he here? Okay, if there's no representative from IPAC, may I humbly invite the representative of His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, and he's no other person but Chief D.U. Edebiri, the Esoba of Benin. Oba Atobubaye. I know, I'm still learning. Hey, Oba Atokbeye. Oba Atokbeye. Please give him a round of applause.
The chairman of this occasion, the convener of this peace meeting or assembly, senior police officers here present, senior military personnel, here present, ladies and gentlemen, I am sent here by His Majesty Omanabanedo Uku Apolopolo, Oba of Benin, Ewari II, to thank the convener of this meeting, particularly General Abdul Salam Abubakar, for what they have been doing in Nigeria of recent, and particularly for coming to Benin at this time to assist in preaching for the peace and tranquility here before, during, and after this election coming up this weekend. The Oba is very grateful, and he wants me to thank everybody who is interested in the peace and tranquility of Edo State during and after this election. He has been doing his very best to see that, as people are predicting, that there will be bloodshed, there will be all sorts of things, that such thing does not happen during this election. I want to publicly announce to you that election in Edo State has never produced such scenario that people are predicting. The first election that was held in Benin City and in which I participated was in February 1952. That was the first election that took place in Benin. Since then, I have participated in every national, subnational, local government election that took place in Nigeria. I have been a participant in most of the elections before I retired. I don't know whether it's retirement, but I excused myself from partisan politics in the year 2003. Now, we do not always go out killing ourselves because of election. And I'm sure this will not be a different thing. We appeal to our sons who are in the field to do it peacefully. If two people are contesting for a position, only one man will take it. This election is particularly good because the two people who are in the front in the contest are people from reputable families in Benin. They are people from families that have been ruling, have been associated with the good administration of this place. It may interest you to know that one of them, his great-grandfather, was the chairman of the council set up by the British when they came here to fight us in 1897. Immediately after they were able to conquer this area, they set up an administrative committee headed by one of the two people now contesting. Then the second position was for the chairman of the council. And the chairman of the council was the great-grandfather of one of the contestants. That was in 1897. So we have children of people who have ruled here before in peace and tranquility. We are not expecting anything different this time. But the Omonoba is very happy that this committee, headed by a very reputable son of Nigeria, is here today to help and bringing peace to this ancient kingdom of Benin and the rest of Edo State. Thank you. We congratulate you for this effort, and we want to assure you that the people of Benin will respond to your appeal. Thank you very much.
Oba Atupe. I think I got it this time. Well, thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, permit me to invite the chairman of the National Peace Committee, His Excellency General Abdusalam Abubakar, the former head of state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Please give him a round of applause as he comes. Please, a standing ovation to our former head of state. This is the head of state who chose democracy over military dictatorship. And we have to recognize him and we have to celebrate him. Please give him another round of applause. It's not easy. He chose the nation above self. Chairman, sir.
Please be seated. Thank you. The representative of the His Royal Majesty, members of the National Peace Committee, Chairman of INEC, Professor Yakubu, the representative of the IGP, party candidates and aspirants, representatives of security agencies, civil society operators, development partners, the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to welcome all of you, leaders and candidates of our political parties, to this meeting called for signing of the peace accord for the conduct of the forthcoming elections. I want to thank all of you for making this occasion possible. And I want to thank all the aspirants and the parties for accepting our invitation and honoring this invitation and are here this afternoon. Your Excellencies, as we all are aware, since 1999, every democratic election in Nigeria has been conducted with varying degrees of violence. The tension and anxiety generated around the electoral process necessitated the setting up of the National Peace Committee, the NPC, whose mandate is to support peaceful election processes and cultivate a culture of peace. In 2014, the committee convened efforts to support free, fair and credible elections, as well as ensure peaceful transition. The intervention of the committee contributed immensely to the success of 2015 elections. The NPC has since 2015 successfully intervened in the general elections to ensure a peaceful outcome right up to the just past 2019 general elections. Your Excellencies, as you are all aware, the gubernatorial election in Edo State is only a few days away. And keeping the peace and during and after election is a priority, and it must be done. We, as a people, should aspire to see Nigeria where people feel safe to come out of their homes to cast their vote without any fear and need for police deployment. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Edo State deserves this. Not just its leaders and politicians, but also its people. As we are all aware, the election will not hold in the absence of a peaceful atmosphere. More importantly, disharmony among political parties hinders all development efforts. All contesting parties need to adopt a code of conduct that promotes consultations among them, because only this will reduce the adversarial relationship that often develops during campaign. The NPC is in Edo today to support this process, not just for the signing of the peace accord by all candidates, but also to encourage you all to accept the outcome of the elections, no matter the result. At this junction, let me thank His Royal Majesty for the role he played when the tension was at its peak. I congratulate His Royal Majesty and all those participants who abided by his call to bring peace to Edo State. Your Excellencies, the participants and contestants, by agreeing to sign this covenant of peace, all of you, and I mean all of you, are committing yourselves to ensure an enduring peace in Nigeria and Edo State before, during, and after the elections, and agreeing to look beyond short-term electoral gain, sectorial interest, or narrow party advantage, and accepting to focus on nothing but the upward development of Edo State. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we go into the elections, we have been given all assurances by the INEC chairman. He has repeated it here this morning. Professor Yakubu told us that they are ready with all the necessary logistics and they will conduct free and fair elections. Having heard that from the professor and the chairman, the rest is left to you, the voters, to do what is right by desisting from selling your vote, thereby selling your rights, freedom, and conscience. Similarly, the Inspector General of Police, who was here until yesterday, and who is ably being represented by the DIG, and again, the DIG this morning has reiterated the police are here to ensure there is peace and tranquility, and any citizen who wants to vote does so freely on his free will. Your Excellencies, let me urge all of us to use this election process in Edo as a test for future elections. As reiterated by His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, let every Nigerian be respected and be given an opportunity to cast his or her vote without intimidation or coercion. And once that vote is casted, let us uphold that vote. And we have been ensured by the elect chairman that your vote will count. Therefore, I urge all the stakeholders and key people here present to commit to the spirit of the accord, while also remembering that the violators of this accord are putting their integrity online. Because you are signing this as ladies and gentlemen who are to be taken for your words. We therefore call on everyone to work towards ensuring a peaceful election process, to ensure that peace reigns in Edo State during and after election. God bless Nigeria, and may peace continue to reign in our country. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the former Head of State, General Abdusalam Abubakar. Ladies and gentlemen, as the chairman takes his seat, we have come to the main, what we call item 7 in popular Nigerian event management parlance, the signing of the peace accord. We've talked about this peace accord several times, and let me urge my colleagues. These are the contents of the peace accord.
On the prevention of violence and acceptance of election results by governorship candidates and chairpersons. National Peace Committee 2020 Edo State Governorship Peace Accord on the prevention of violence and acceptance of election results by governorship candidates and chairpersons of political parties contesting the 2020 governorship elections in Edo State under the auspices of the National Peace Committee NPC. We, the undersigned governorship candidates of the underlisted political parties contesting in the governorship elections of Edo State in September 2020, reaffirming our commitment to taking proactive measures towards ensuring a conducive environment for the conduct of a credible electoral process. Anxious about the maintenance of a peaceful environment before, during and after the 2020 governorship elections in Edo State. Reaffirming our commitment to fully abide by the constitutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to respect the rules and regulations as laid down in the legal framework for elections in Nigeria, and adhere to best international standards. Desirous of sustaining and promoting the unity and corporate existence of Nigeria as an indivisible entity, determined to avoid any conduct or behavior that will endanger the political stability and national security of Nigeria. Mindful of our responsibility towards the Nigerian citizens and their democratic rights, we are determined to place national interest above personal and partisan concerns. Hereby committing ourselves and our parties to the following. 1. To support all institutions of government involved in conducting or securing the elections, in particular, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) and the security forces, to act with professionalism, impartiality, and transparency. 2. To isolate state agencies, institutions, and public officers from supporting partisan interests in any form, as well as the full application of national and international laws against subversions of the electoral process, incitement to violence, or any other offenses that may compromise the integrity of the ballot and the security of Nigerians and non-Nigerians before, during, and after the elections. 3. to ensure uninterrupted and uncompromised freedom of expression and information, both online and offline, throughout the electoral process. 4. To admonish our party members and our theming followers to refrain from insults, intimidations, incitement and violence, and to conduct themselves in accordance with the rule of law after the announcement of the results. 5. To publicly condemn acts of violence and their instigators and perpetrators. 6. To respect that the results can only be announced by INEC and to accept the outcome of the votes as long as it is adjudged to be free, fair, and credible, devoid of intimidation, and conducted in accordance with the provisions of the law. 7. To support peaceful, transparent, and credible electoral processes and abide by the outcome of the election results. 8. To fully collaborate with the National Peace Committee, made up of respected statesmen and women, traditional and religious leaders, in its mission to monitor the adherence to this accord. 9. In the event of any disputes that may arise, to follow due process by resorting to the courts of law and to act in a spirit of statesmanship, putting the country first before individual or party interests. 10. Abide by the letter and spirit of this accord, and if my actions and utterances and that of my party violate the principle of this accord, I accept to be held accountable according to the laws and constitutions of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Here will be appending their signatures to. Without wasting much time, I'm going to call the chairman and the candidates of each political party. So please, if you hear your name, please quickly come and sign if you accept the contents of the peace accord. Let me. Okay. Yeah, that's one. Come last. Yes. All right. Okay, so can we have the chairman of AA and the candidate of AA? And there, please, the candidate of AA. Sorry, I don't want to murder your names. So can we have the party chairman for AA and the candidate of AA? Please give them a round of applause if they're here, please. Okay. The chairman of ADC and the candidate of ADC. The chairman of ADP and the candidate of ADP. The party chairman of ABGA and the candidate of ABGA. Are they here? Is that ABGA? All right. So the party chairman of ABGA and the governorship candidate of ABGA. While the ABGA governorship candidate and the party chairman, can we also have the party chairman of APM and the governorship candidate of APM? As APM navigates this way, let me invite the party chairman and the candidate of APP. This is the party. Where's the governorship candidate of ABGA? Okay. After APP, can we have the party chairman of LP, that's Labour Party, and the governorship candidate of Labour Party? Is Labour Party here? Okay. Do we have the chairman of the NNPP and the governorship candidate of the NNPP. That's the New Nigeria People's Party. Labour. Do we have NNPP here? Okay. Do we have NRM, the chairman of NRM and the governorship candidate of NRM, and that's the National Rescue Movement. Is NRM here? NRM? Yes, the chairman and the governorship candidate. Can we have the chairman of the Social Democratic Party, that's SDP, the chairman of SDP and the governorship candidate of SDP? SDP, is SDP here? Can we have the chairman and the governorship candidate of YPP, the Young Progressive Party? No, no SDP. SDP is not here. NRM. NRM. Yes. Can we have YPP, please? Can we have ZLP, the chairman and the governorship candidate of ZLP? Okay, so there's no ZLP. Thank you very much. Just to be sure that all the parties here have been called, do we have the AA candidates here, the ADC candidate, and the ADP, as well as ABGA and Labour Party and Social Democratic Party? Well, in any case, if you're not here, you can always link up with the Peace Committee to append your signature to the Peace Accord. Let me at this point invite the chairman of the All Progressive Congress and the candidate of the All Progressive Congress. The chairman of the All Progressive Congress and the candidate of the APC. Let me also invite the chairman of the People's Democratic Party and the candidate of the PDP. The chairman of the PDP and the candidate of the PDP. At this point, the Peace Committee will take a group photograph with the candidates having signed the peace accord. Please, can the other members of the National Peace Committee come for a group photo? Can the INEC chairman? Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, we understand some of you are not in the photo, so can some of you move to the other side, please, from here, so we can have everyone in the shot. Yes. Okay, please, can we move? Okay. Please just. Okay. Thank you. So can the cameraman please, let's take this quickly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. At this point, we are going to take speeches from representative of all the parties. Let me invite the IPAC chairman who is here. Is the IPAC chairman here to deliver a remark on behalf of the parties? Okay, in the absence of the IPAC chairman, let me invite the governor of the state who is the candidate of the PDP to deliver his remark, and afterwards we invite the candidate of the APC to also deliver some remark. Okay, can we have the candidate of the PDP?
The Chairman of the National Peace Commission, Your Excellency, General Abdusalami Abubakar, and other members of the Peace Committee, I want to express my profound gratitude to the Chairman of INEC, the IG, the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police Force, who is ably represented by the DIG, and representatives of the Omonoba Nedo, Ukwa Kolokolo, Oba Ewari II, Oba of Benin, Oba Atokwe, and all invited guests. Today, we all agree that a unique type of history is being made in Edo State, where we're having the National Peace Committee coming ahead of a major event, the elections of September 19th, to get all the contestants to sign a peace accord to ensure that there is a violence-free election on that date. I want to say on behalf of myself as a candidate of the party and my party, the People's Democratic Party, that we're fully committed to ensuring that we have peaceful elections. I have no choice, because in addition to being a candidate, I am also the governor and the chief security officer of the state. I want to commit publicly once again that I will live by the letter and spirit of the accord that has just been signed. Before leaving this stage, I want to appeal to the National Peace Committee not to end their work with the signing of this accord, because there are other actors in the political space who have influence who will have influence and will exercise influence in the political space and also elections. If you can reach out to them, even not to sign this accord, but to persuade them about the importance of an accord we have just signed, because the responsibility for peace should rest on everyone, particularly the candidates, but also some non-direct political actors, so that we can ensure that this exercise is total. Once again, I want to thank you and appreciate you for this very, very notable efforts. Thank you very much.
May I invite the candidate of the All Progressive Congress?
Your Excellency, former Head of State and Chairman of the National Peace Committee, the National Chairman of INEC, the representative of the IG, my Lord Bishop, members of the National Peace Committee here present, civil society groups, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me also, on behalf of the APC, thank the organizers of this event for what we have just done and what has just been witnessed. We are particularly grateful that no less a person than General Abdul Salam came personally to supervise this event, and we are also appreciative to the national chairman of INEC, the IG, and all the important personalities who have also come. Let me also thank Our Royal Majesty Oba Ewari II, because what we are witnessing today, he actually initiated a week or 2 weeks ago. He called us to the palace and spoke to us about the need for peace. And we had promised him then, just like we are promising now, that we would ensure that throughout this election, the campaigns and the election itself, there will be peace. So I want to thank His Royal Majesty for that initiative. Abba Tokbei, let me reaffirm to our commitment to what has been signed and to assure Nigerians, and particularly our people in Edo State, that we will talk to all our supporters, we will conduct ourselves peacefully, we will do all our best to ensure that the election is peaceful. We support free, fair, and credible elections. We believe that is the only way we can sustain our democracy, and we want to assure all our dignitaries that by the grace of God, the election is going to be very, very peaceful. So we thank you and we are grateful.
You know, at wedding ceremonies, this is the point where they give the cake. Yeah, so if you want to take any picture, this is the candidate holding. Yes. So while the general, this is the point where we ask the two candidates to either shake hands or hug themselves. The two candidates. Please give them a round of applause. So we can take the picture. Yes. These are photo moments you can't miss. We also invite the representative of the IG of police. The DIG, the chairman has directed that the DIG, as well as other members of the National Peace Committee, should come, and see the INEC chairman also coming. Okay, can the IPAC chairman come, please? The chairman of IPAC. The chairman of IPAC. So we're winding down, and we just take very, very brief remarks from the chairman of IPAC and very brief remarks from the chairman of IPAC. Please, the event has not come to an end, so just... Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, His Excellencies, the traditional rulers, very distinguished conveners of this occasion. My remark will be very brief on behalf of other political parties. IPAC remarks that having taken into concrete accounts of the contribution of all to this occasion and political activities in our society, we are completely acceptable to the peace accord and will be part of those who are to ensure it is driven to the objective for which it was first engaged. Thank you. Is it brief enough? Yes.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to end with the national anthem, but let me, on behalf of the organizers of this event, recognize especially those who have supported this process. First, the European Union that provided the support for this. And let me also thank the International Federation for Electoral System, IFES, IRI, NDI, as well as Kimpact Initiative, all the partners who have worked tirelessly to the success of this event. Please, can we rise for the national anthem as we close the peace accord signing ceremony? The national anthem, please. Can we rise for the national anthem? Can we rise for the national anthem? Thank you very much. All our partners,
The Edo governorship election is almost here. On election day, Yaga Africa's WTV will be deploying the parallel vote tabulation. The PVT is a special election observation tool that uses statistics and technology to enable non-partisan citizen observers to provide accurate report on the voting process and on whether results announced reflects the votes cast in the polling units. Yaga Africa will deploy 500 watching the vote observers and 24 roving observers in the local government areas who will send in reports using their phones to a centralized database. The report will be analyzed and shared with voters and stakeholders in near real time. So good citizens of Edo State, protect your PVC and get ready. For inquiries, send a message to Yaga Africa via 0903 800 7744. Follow us on social media at Yaga. Watching the vote, making votes count.
Over the years, our elections have been characterized by different forms of violence. In the 2011 general elections, over 800 deaths were recorded. In 2015, 150 deaths, and in 2019, 626 deaths, all due to electoral violence. Everyone is affected. Our mothers cry, fathers mourn, and children also weep. The trend of electoral violence can lead to voter apathy, political instability, and displacement. These are all injurious to our society. We can do better by shunning violence in the coming Edo 2020 governorship election. To report any form of violence in elections, call the toll-free line 08000010000. Say never to electoral violence. This message is brought to you by Kimpact Development Initiative with the support of USAID, IFES, and UK Aid.
During the governorship election in Edo State on Saturday, 19th September 2020, only persons with permanent voter cards would be allowed to vote. Check and confirm your name on the register of voters at the polling unit and present your PVC for verification and authentication. No one will be allowed to enter the polling unit without a face mask. You will be asked to temporarily remove your face mask for proper identification. Methylated spirit and cotton wool will be used to disinfect the smart card readers after the fingerprint of each voter is read. Water and soap would be provided for washing of hand at the polling units and collation centers. Thermometers would be deployed to check temperatures at collation centers. Vote and stay safe. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, making your votes count, consolidating our democracy.
This is Channels Television. You've been watching the signing of a peace accord by the Edo State governorship candidates organized by the Yaga Peace Accord ahead of the governorship elections this weekend. Please stay tuned as we return to our regular programming with News Track.